Hello, Pisces, and welcome into your reading for the first half of September, where we'll be taking a look at your job and career, love and relationships, and then life path and mission. And one of the things, if you've watched the channel recently, you may have seen this new deck of cards that I got, and it's about different crystals. So it has crystals, and then there's also on the back, there's a QR code that has different sound files that you can listen to while you're meditating. So we're going to pull out a card to see what the divine has you using, like what does spirit compel you to use in your meditations for the first half of the month. Aqua Aura Quartz, balance, equilibrium, and flow. So this card, I would say, especially right now with all of this crazy heavy energy that we have 7 planets in retrograde. We have Venus, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, Mercury, and Uranus all in retrograde. So Venus goes direct on the 3rd. So you will start to feel some of your energy slowly returning, but then on the 4th, Jupiter goes into retrograde. So that's kind of about growth and expansion during that time period. And then also in the first part of the month, we do have, on the 14th, we have a new moon in Virgo, and then the very next day, Mercury goes direct in Virgo. So that's going to be a time period where it'll serve you well to focus on things that you can quickly finish, things that have been stalled out, like maybe you've had something on your to-do list, like a partially completed project for a while, or maybe you have a lot of little things, and just kind of power through and clear out the to-do list and kind of give yourself some of that breathing room, make space for other activities. So before we dive into the areas of focus that we've talked about, let's take a look at what energy, like overall general energy, do we have for you for the first half of the month. So we have Page of Shells, so that's Page of Cups. We have the Wheel of Fortune, and then we have 3 of Crystals in reverse, so that's 3 of Pentacles in reverse. So with your Page of Cups, that's going to be kind of a little bit of that naivety and that innocence. So it's maybe kind of like a smaller offering. It's not this big grand gesture. It's a little bit smaller with that, and that's kind of that intuition and inspiration. You do have the Wheel of Fortune as well. So that's kind of some of that destined and fated energy. So there's possibilities that are coming up and some change, but change in a good way. And then you have your 3 of Pentacles in reverse. And so that's a little bit of like conflict and apathy. So it could be that there's some conflict about some of the things that are coming in. Like maybe if this is this Page of Shells or Page of Cups, if it's kind of a smaller offer coming in than you had anticipated, there could be some apathy towards it in however that resonates for you, whether it's an offering in love, offering in a job, in a family situation, whatever the case may be. So let's dive in and see in those specific realms what energy we have coming through for you. So we'll start out with jobs and careers. So in the recent past, you have Wheel of Fortune. You're currently sitting in 5 of Pentacles in reverse, with the likely outcome being 4 of Pentacles. So this is that kind of good karma, change, good fortune, sort of a destined and fated. With this 5 of Pentacles in reverse, this sort of feeling, this positive, has pushed you into a sense of kind of like overcoming adversity, and you're moving on, you're moving forward in a good direction in your life. And then the next level of energy coming in for you is this security. And so sometimes it has like a possessiveness or materialistic type of feel to it. The 4 of Pentacles, that he's sitting there and he has these pentacles and then, firmly has feet on the other 2. But that is also kind of that sense of security and stability. So, you've had some good fortune and you've overcome different, obstacles or adversity, and now you're sitting pretty. So it looks like things are in a good, stable place for you job-wise, Pisces, and career-wise. So let's take a look at the other energy that's coming in. And we're going to move on to our love and relationships next. So let's see what that looks like. In the recent past, we have Knight of Wands, currently in the Three of Swords in reverse, and the next level of energy or the likely outcome is the Lovers in reverse. So you've recently been in this energy of kind of fearlessness and confidence, and that's put you in this energy of like optimism, and there is some of this, this kind of positive sense of things are moving forward. So yeah, with your Knight of Wands being fearless and confident, things are sitting in a good place. And the next level of energy, though, is a little bit of an imbalance and kind of that sense of, well, what do you really want? So sometimes this has an air of disharmony or distrust, but, it could be also a matter of not so much like that you're not trusting the other person, like, oh, you're worried the other person's lying to you or cheating on you or trying to do something. It's maybe a little bit of a sense of not trusting yourself. Like, wait a second, is this almost like that? Is this too good to be true? Because riding in with this good, positive energy, and that you're sitting here in this like optimistic state, and things are moving on in a good direction, and then it almost makes you second guess it. So make sure that you're not too much in your head and that you're listening to your intuition. So one of the things we've talked about during the daily card polls quite a bit is the difference in your intuition and your ego. So ego and your doubts and your fears and things like that, they yell. That's a loud voice in your head. Your intuition is quiet. It's more of that quiet whisper. So if you start to get into that energy of feeling like, oh, this is too good to be true, things are going smooth, I'm optimistic, wait a second, something must be wrong. Like, my love life usually isn't this smooth. What's wrong? What don't I know about? Like, don't let your mind go to that place, because you do have this Wheel of Fortune energy, and even with the Page of Cups. So sometimes with the Page of Cups, it's seen, that naivety, and it's kind of seen as, I'm not going to say a shallow offer, but it's in the Rider-Waite deck, like this deck, the page is holding a cup and there's a fish in it. So it's kind of like, that's an offer. If that's coming out in a love situation, it's like, oh, it's a little offer, and it's kind of like the cute offer of, oh, a boy brings a girl a dandelion. Isn't that sweet? So it's not that it's not a valuable offer. It's more from the perspective of, that's not this offer of, oh, here, I will create all of this stability and I see this whole life unfolding. It's like, oh, here, I brought you a dandelion. So it's a little bit of that sort of a feeling. So, but this is, with the Wheel of Fortune, there's that element of destined and fated. So as you're looking at that, don't second guess. Like, if the offer comes in, say it is kind of that offer of, oh, here's a fish in a cup, here's a dandelion. Don't let your mind jump in and say, oh, well, it's not a bigger offer. It must be that he's not interested, or it must be that maybe there's somebody else. Like, keep your mind from going down those paths and just enjoy what you have right now in front of you. So I would say that's the kind of feel that this path, or that this line here, is having with love and relationships. So on your life path and mission, in the recent past, you have the Hermit in reverse, and Two of Wands in your current energy, with the Tower as your next level of energy. So your Hermit in reverse, that's going to be some of this energy of almost like loneliness, and you're withdrawing. You kind of have this like sad feeling and a little bit of rejection. So, like that you feel like, oh, everyone around me has their purpose, has their life path. They know what they're doing and I don't. And so you kind of feel like you're out in the cold trying to figure out what that is. This next level is like about personal power and decision making. So it's kind of like you feel like you don't know what your path is, but then it pushes you into that sense of, no, I want to take this back. I want to take this power back, and I want to figure out my next step. And then kind of in comes the Tower. So sudden massive changes and upheavals. So it could be that once you decide that, yes, I'm going to reclaim my power. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to kind of travel or make decisions about what I want to do. This tower, it isn't necessarily cutting you off from that path. It's more of a matter of something's going to fall away. And it could be, the way this feels with this tower is you've made the decision to move on and figure out what your path is, what your mission is. So something else is going to fall away to allow that to happen. Like the universe is going to let you continue this energy and continue to let that grow. So something else has to come off the plate. Something else has to clear out to make that space for you, whether that's, physically make that space, whether that's energetically making that space for you. So that's the way that part is reading. And let's jump in here and take a look at some oracle cards and see what other messages come up for you. So Gaia, rising above, clarity, freedom, and solution. So to me, that goes along here that you're working on, your personal power and making the decision that, hey, I want to figure out what my path is. I need to grow. So you're rising above, whatever some of these other conflicts are, whatever some of these other issues are, so that you can figure out your path. Let's take a look at our moon card, see what comes up. You and your loved ones are safe. So sometimes when people are starting to think about, like, what is my life path? What is it that I really want to do with my life? All of a sudden, these other 3D issues come in, like, well, but what if I go down this path and, it backfires, or I fail miserably at this or at that? What is that going to do for my family? What about the people that rely on me? I can't do that. I can't risk it, I can't risk their stability or their happiness to go after what I want. And this is, when it says you and your loved ones are safe, that's kind of that idea, with new moon in Cancer. New moon is about starting something new. So it's kind of saying, take that leap of faith. Know that your loved ones, you're going to be okay. And it's the whole thing of, if you knew that they were fine, what would you do? Like, how would you choose differently? And that's really about, like, you're with North Node moving into Aries last month, and it's going to sit there for the next year and a half. It's about having a healthy level of selfishness, like doing things for you and not always putting yourself and your needs behind the needs of everybody else in your life. So this card kind of goes with that. All right, let's see. That tower is protecting you. So interesting that came out when we had the tower down here. So the whole idea of, sometimes when those tower moments come up, people have that sense of, oh my gosh, whatever fell to pieces in my life, or, this has been this massive upheaval. Sometimes the universe sends those towers to protect you from a bigger, worse issue later. So, whatever the case may be, however that plays out for you in your situation, if there's something massive that happens, it's kind of encouraging you to put your faith in the divine, put your faith in God, and put the trust there. This Wheel of Fortune, this is, destined and fated events, that some things need to happen in a certain order to either move you towards your blessings or to keep you away from things that are going to be bad, that are going to take you further off your path. So sometimes this tower, if you can get yourself into the mindset of, this is happening for me, not to me, it kind of helps you understand and actually, even as you reflect when there is a tower moment in your life, and sometimes it's hard to do when you're living in the suck at that moment, being able to step back and say, okay, why did this turn into a tower moment? Why was this not a smaller, like, death moment or some sort of a learning moment? Why did it have to be a big tower? And oftentimes you can trace it back to, hey, there was another decision 6 months prior, a year prior, 2 years prior, whatever the situation is, that if you would have acted differently at that time, you would have avoided the tower. But there was an opportunity for you to learn a lesson and you didn't. So therefore, that lesson or that messaging is going to repeat itself, but in a different and bigger format. So So this tower is protecting you from having a bigger, more dramatic, impactful, unfortunate event later. So I hope that you found today's reading to be helpful. And if this is information you think somebody else could benefit from, I welcome you to share it with them. If you want to be alerted when new videos post, I do post twin flame videos about every other week. So that kind of happens in between these first half of the month, second half of the month readings. Like on those off weeks, I usually do a twin flame video and maybe a couple videos a week, the Is This Your Person, as well as the daily card pulls. So if you want to be alerted when those new videos post, hit the subscribe and the notification bell. Otherwise, I wish you peace in your journey, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.